This video has been brought to you by PC Case Gear, Australia's premier online PC store. Links to their Facebook page and website can be found in the description. So you guys have tried the rest and now you want to try the best. Let's see why there's so much fuss about this Topre Realforce RGB keyboard. So before we can do anything else, we need to get it out of the box. So let's have a look. This is probably likely the best keyboard I think I'm ever going to unbox. So let's see how it comes packed. Alright, what have we got here? So, okay, so we've got a visual user manual, which is nice. That's different from the normal, you know, white folded piece of paper that most keyboards include. Here it is, anything else in there? Nope. Alright, let's look at the main attraction then. Okay. Alright, let's get these out. There's nothing else in there, just the keyboard. No swappable keys or any of that kind of stuff. Just the board. So, sit that down there. Alright, so it's pretty weighty as you'd expect from a keyboard of this kind of caliber. Let's get our first look at it. Alright, so, I mean, it looks a lot like most other keyboards you've probably seen, but it's very heavy, and I've heard a lot about these switches. This keyboard doesn't use Cherry MX switches or mechanical switches. It uses Topre's own switch, which is very interesting. Oh yeah, so it does feel a bit different. Yeah, okay, that'll be interesting. Alright, well, let's go ahead and have a closer look. So this is the Topre Realforce RGB gaming keyboard, and it retails for $299 Australian. It's an extremely high quality Japanese designed and built keyboard, and it doesn't have Cherry MX switches in it. It has Topre's own electrostatic capacitive key switch, which they've very imaginatively called the Topre switch, but we'll get more into that later. It measures in at 460mm wide by 140mm tall, and is 43mm high and weighs 1.28 kilograms. It connects by a non-braided, non-removable but very sturdy feeling USB cable, which is 1.5 meters long, and it does have routing tracks underneath so you can keep your desk as tidy as possible. And just like the last keyboard I reviewed, it doesn't have USB or audio pass-throughs, and immediate control keys are dual function, not standalone. It features N key rollover with anti-ghosting, so it'll keep up with all your inputs and won't miss a beat. If we flip it over and take a look underneath, you can see it's a very clean design. It has 4 rubber non-slip feet as well as the adjustable legs, which are actually also rubber coated and allow you to set the keyboard at 2 different height levels. Now unfortunately, Topre don't include any alternate keycaps in case you want to swap them out. But that's not to say you can't, because you can. You'll just need to purchase a set from a third party, and there's plenty of options out there online. So let's talk about the switches themselves. After all, this is one of the most intriguing things about this keyboard, and this is what I was most looking forward to when I heard the Realforce was on its way to me. The keycaps are made from double shot ABS, and the switch they use is its patented electrostatic capacitive switch, which when you see the switch blueprint looks a lot like a hybrid of a buckling spring and a rubber dome switch, and they aren't like anything you've used before. Prior to using this keyboard, I was a huge fan of MX Blues with their tactile feedback and sound, but using Topre's switches, I've found that I get a better tactile feedback whilst having a switch that's much easier to listen to and generally feels better. But the biggest party trick of this keyboard is its ability to change the switch activation point on the fly to one of 3 different levels, which basically means each key can be set to individual heights. It's not just an across the board change, but we'll get more into that when we look at the software side. The depth that you can adjust the actuation points are 1.5, 2.2 and 3mm. So for example, if you play a lot of FPS games, you could set your WASD and spacebar to the shortest activation point, but have the more deliberate input keys to a deeper activation point. And that's the way I've got mine set, and it feels natural AF. The LED lighting on the Topre Realforce is obviously RGB. It says it in the name, dummy, which is capable of displaying 16.8 million colours. The keys are individually backlit, and the LED lighting itself is extremely bright. Probably the best and brightest LED lighting I've seen on any keyboard to date. I'm not sure how well it's going to come across in the video. There's also a white baseboard underneath the keys, which really helps accentuate the overall glow from the lighting. So now it's time to take a look at the software. So you don't get a driver's CD in the box. You do need to download the software from the Realforce website, but there are instructions on how to do that included in the box, and it's a very straightforward process. You may need to translate the page, but it's very, very easy and just a couple of clicks away. Once you've got it, you'll be set. So once you've downloaded and installed the Realforce RGB software, what you're going to see is basically a really well laid out and simple to use software. What you're going to look at first of all is the RGB tab, which shows the current lighting effect, but we'll come back to that in a second. What I want to show you guys is actually how you go about changing the actuation point of each of the keys, or all of them if you like. So basically there's three settings. There's a 3mm, 2.2mm, and 1.5mm. Now you can go ahead and just change the entire keyboard by selecting the whole option here, and it's just a matter of clicking on the height of the actuation point that you want, or you can set them individually. So what I like to do is just click the individual tab here. Now by default I like to have them all on the highest point, so we'll put them on red. Now I want my WASD and space and shift to be set at the shortest actuation point, so they're quicker to actually activate in game. So it's just a matter of clicking the actuation point height that you want and then clicking the keys. It literally couldn't be any easier. You can set any key to any actuation point that you like, and for some reason if you wanted these ones midway, you could do that. But basically I just like it to be fairly straightforward, red across the board apart from the main keys that are going to be used during gaming. So if we go back over to the RGB tab, that's actually set now, by the way. The actuation points are remembered. They'll stay that way until I change them or revert it to stock. If we go over to the LED functions tab, we can see here it's reflecting the current one, which is just a rainbow wave. But we can go to user setting here, which is actually where we set the full custom lighting effect that we want. So again, it's super simple. All you need to do is choose a color, and then you click and drag. And you can see that it's reflected on the keyboard. We'll do the first couple of rows red and the next couple green, and we'll do some blue. So it's really that simple. If you want an ultra specific color, then you can choose from the color gradient here and just click on the keys. It's really simple. It's basically one of the best custom keyboard softwares that I've ever had the pleasure of using. So that covers off that. There are some preset lighting modes. Obviously we saw the rainbow wave. There's also a shooting star effect, which looks really cool if you speed it up. There's a bunch of other ones like pressed key lighting, which we saw in the video earlier. What we want to also look at here is the key lock function. We'll just put that back on rainbow, it's easier to look at. So the key lock function here, you can choose individual keys to be locked out if you enable this. So it's just again a matter, you can click it on. If you want to lock out these keys here, you can do that, and basically whenever the key lock function's on, they won't work. I mean, I don't probably think that I'll use that function, but there might be scenarios where you might want to set something up like that, and if you want, you can. The last tab here is the settings tab. So basically this is where you get deeper into the keyboard itself. You can do firmware updates, download preset software or preset settings that other people may have created, find out some version information and all this kind of stuff. You can save the actual setting that you have to the keyboard, so you don't need to run the software for it to happen, you know, like a hard-coded lighting effect. So it's a really well laid out piece of software, and it's really easy to navigate. So I take that as a huge bonus when you're looking at especially something that's customizable like this with its lighting. You really want to be able to put exactly what you have in your mind into reality with the minimum of stress. Alright, well let's go ahead and actually give you a bit of a listen to how the keys sound and do a typing test. Alright guys, well let's wrap this up. Now, to be honest, I really don't have too much to complain about here. There are a couple of things I want to discuss before I get into why you probably should consider this legitimately. Now, the first thing is, for the price, I would have liked to see a keycap puller thrown in for the scenarios whereby you go and buy yourself a full custom keycap set for this. It will just make that job a lot easier. The second thing is, I would have liked to see a wrist rest thrown in. Now, coming from a K70 with a wrist rest, I found that nice. Now, I know that you can buy them separately, but you probably shouldn't have to if you're already spending $300 on a keyboard. It's not a deal breaker. it's still going to replace my K70 as my daily driver. I love it that much, but let me tell you why you would consider spending $300 on a keyboard. What do you get for that? Now I know that basically spending that much money is as much as you could probably spend on a consumer grade keyboard. But what you're getting is a truly high quality piece of equipment that is unrivaled. It's basically the engineering pinnacle of keyboards. Even things like the keycaps don't wobble, everything's solid, it feels heavy, there's no rattles. It's absolutely flawless from top to bottom. If you're in the market for a high-end keyboard and money is no object, you simply want the best of the best, then I think you really should consider picking up a Realforce RGB. I think you'll be very, very happy with it. Now, I just want to thank PC Case Gear again for sending the keyboard to me for a review. And I'll leave a link in the description to the manufacturer's page if you want to check it out more, and PC Case Gear's web store if you'd like to buy one. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.